Hi guys, we're here to do the live update for Pisces, record it and upload it separately. So I'll wait for a few people to connect and then we will get into the read. I've had modem related issues. So what's going on? You've got some interesting energy coming through. Now, if you are wanting to make a booking, you can go to the link directly below. As well as if you do want to look at your romance side of things, I have pulled a romance card, but I also have the other videos that are going to be released on the 1st. The next ones will be released earlier, but I have released them on the 1st. So how many do we have in the house? We've got 3. Are you seeing the stream smoothly? If not, give me a heads up and I'll have to fix that. Let's see if not seeing any comments yet. Okay, you do have some interesting energies coming through. I feel as though you guys are dealing with aspects of adversity moving into February. You're really wanting to make some clear decisions about how to proceed forward. You're totally aware of any blocks that are in your way, and I feel as though you're meditating upon it, but you need to not get overwhelmed by it. It can be conflict with external parties. Some of you guys are also worried about finance. Really? I think all of us are doing that though, Mark. I think it's got to a point where with the partial eclipse, you know, we're sort of going to clarity in January about, and we know what we're wanting to end, but at the same time, it's about how do we go about doing that? How do we go about, because we understand the aspects of the biggest picture we're wanting, but then we're also now seeing some of the aspects of the work, the obstacles, the hurdles, the time frame that that situation is going to require. And a lot of the information connected to that within the eclipse and within what you Pisces actually gain clarity on, even if you haven't gained the complete clarity, it can come through about 4 to 8 weeks later. Now, the energy of the total eclipse, the frequency and that of what you're working on can take up to 6 to 7 months to complete. Now, we've got 3 transits where we've got eclipses. And around those times, what you will find is you'll have sharp left turns where you'll have to restart something. You still may be working on the same situation, but especially with the retrogrades, what tends to happen is we gain clarity about what is and what isn't working. We've gained a lot of information in 2018, and really moving forward, we're reapplying that frequency. Be mindful on the 4th of February, there can be trigger points. And it can be a very intense energy in a sense of a download. You know, we can feel very aggravated, very agitated. Again, I'll do the astrology perhaps with Mark, but at the same time, you know, on my own, what's on this channel, and any psychic updates I do get, I will bring them to you live. You guys, though, the way the energy is coming through, it's sort of like I'm seeing a map in my head, and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, you're seeing the obstacles and you're working out how to work around it. There are some conflicted energies. Like I can see people around you that are really agitating you. You're being cautious when you're vibration, and it can be problematic at the moment, and it's really screaming out to me. So I'm going to hone in on this energy. Some of you feel that no matter what you do, you just can't get it right. And it may be that you just are feeling very connected to your employment. It may be you just don't feel the love there anymore, although it could be highly successful, but it feels something that was out of reach is going to balance out. You know, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it is going to balance out. But you've got to really pay attention to your mindset and really move through any trigger points that are coming up for you guys. Now, this is both at a financial level and a 3D level connected to employment. If you're applying for positions, have the courage to keep moving forward. It is coming. It's an aspect of you facing your fears and fighting through the obstacles to know that it's a temporary situation. Now, Sometimes in our frequency, we can say, hey, I've been waiting 6 months for employment. 2017 was really hard to move forward. And spiritually, you find when you're having an upgrade, that doesn't happen. So it's not a punishment. Financially, at times, yes, it can be, but at a spiritual level, it's almost like the universe divinely guides these situations to place you in a position to do some spiritual healing. Many of you that went through aspects of adversity connected to your finances and employment, that situation is changing. Now, the nodes being in Cancer and Capricorn, what you'll find is there's the responsible aspect connected to Capricorn, and there's the family related dynamics connected to, the family domain in Cancer. So it's reconnecting with your family members, reconnecting with your spiritual tribe within your employment. Some of you may wish to actually go back to a previous employer, but I'm feeling more you're wanting that sweep out and the fresh start. You don't really want to go back over old ground. The conflict connected to people that you're currently working with, if they're not in alignment with you, take a step, put your resumes out, knowing like shift don't want, and you take no direct action. This is where I'm saying in 2018, for those of us that have been doing the spiritual work, we become our own karmic, because we're hearing the call and we're hearing it loud and clear. This is not working. And if we physically choose not to do anything, the test times can be the retrogrades where it's like crap, we didn't listen to our intuition, and getting conflicted by that, but knowing what the outcome's going to be and still choosing not to do something. Some of you, it might be that certain situations are out of your hands and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, and that's fine. Divine timing does come into play, but at least acknowledging it and taking the steps to move that situation forward is really going to help you. Almost get a plan of action. Even if spiritually and physically at a 3D level, you don't have the ability to do that right away, jotting it down on a notepad and getting to the point you're physically seeing those ticks go off on that page, it gets to a point that you can say, great, now I'm actually moving forward. I have achieved a task. So it motivates you to keep doing that, to keep going forward. In the year of the pig, you will find at a financial level, for Pisces, this is going to be very beneficial for you. But a lot of you have the ability this year to actually branch out on your own. So if you are meditating upon starting a business or doing a solo venture, it does bode very well, providing you're taking all the steps to make that move forward. Some of you may be doing two things at once in order to balance everything out. And again, connected to the nodes, you'll find juggling family, juggling responsibility, all the way moving through to March. You might find it to be a heavy energy, but it is a temporary, natural, because all of us collectively are going through that. It's just trying to keep balance through that process. The unseen of what you're not seeing at the moment. The road is clearing, okay? So the challenging times are in reverse. Sometimes we get into that fear-based frequency of, oh my gosh, what's waiting around the corner, especially when we look at 2016, 2017. It's like, oh, good grief, are we going to go through this again? No, okay? You can't go through the same frequency again. The frequency that comes up is directly correlating to your pain body experience. So if you're getting into panic mode, which is very common when we're overwhelmed by situations, step back, acknowledge it, and say, okay, this is not the same thing. Hello, love. But it is triggering an aspect of my pain body experience. What can I do to face my shadow side? And say, okay, thank you for that acknowledgement, from yourself, because it's almost like you're trying to gain a relationship back with your intuition, the ego, pain body experience, to actually cope with the trigger points. So, moving into the total eclipse, a lot of us were going through that, and moving through till March because of the nodes, some of those aspects, especially with the other aspects of the astrology, they can bring about sharp changes. Now, I will tune into the astrology separately. Those of you who have an Aquarius placement, you need to check into that, because connected to the moon next month, what you will find is it can be an ending and a new beginning. Have patience with yourself when you're getting triggered, especially when you're fearing the unseen of what things are going to be. It's going to help you cope with it. Just acknowledge it and keep moving forward. You're going to have to master a technique to shift your mind, onto something else. So if you can emotionally, relationship wise, this is coming at me. How do I deal with this adversity? How did I deal with it previously? And then the trigger point is coming from previously. Bring it back to the here and now and ask yourself, how could you directly relate to this situation right here, right now, in a very different way? And that's going to help really anchor you in a sense of your education. Now, this can be for those of you who are actually studying, or and some of you might be looking at aspects of psychology, and this can just be a personal like lesson you might be learning about yourself, the psyche of self. Some of you could be actually studying in that direct area. Others of you can be walking away from fear-based frequencies to come to a point where you really are more stable and you're fighting for what you directly want. Some energies are coming through where try not to self-sabotage. If, for instance, you're feeling you can't handle a certain dynamic, try not to fall back into an old pattern to help you take your mind off situations. It's far better to face the darkest fears than to walk away from them, because, you know, the moon energy is governing you at the moment. This energy is coming through very strongly for you, and a lot of the trigger points that you're not wanting to face will come through in the moon phases. It's going to give you your power back. So try not to look at it as, you know, a negative thing, especially when you're fearing that someone's going to let a cat out of the hat, so to speak. Don't repeat the cycle. You don't have to. It is merely a trigger point and it is temporary, but some of you have a lot more clarity when focusing on education. That's going to start moving forward and our frequency is going to be picking up, but managing your stress levels is going to be. I am seeing some of you actually wanting to look into business ventures, and some of you may be studying in aspects of that. But again, I'm hearing taking a leap of faith connected to your employment or your skill that you're wanting to master, because I do feel there's a lot of luck around you guys when it does come to that. But it's almost like breaking old paradigms and breaking old systems of doing things and being very creative with the way you are gaining your money. So some of you who have been working for the man, so to speak, it might be a very frustrating dynamic, but I'm seeing many chapters in your life ending and new ones starting. And it's like they're not seeing the true light of what you are. And it frustrates you to visually see how they're running things for some of you, and that you know physically you can do the job better. So go and do it. Okay. Your health. Some of you directly have been stepping away from connections or really focusing on self, you know, so you're not allowing the environment, and this is very important. Don't allow the environment of love to let tower moments happen in other domains in your life. If you can get anchored in, you'll find no matter what happens, you can swim with the ebbs and flows with it. And I do feel, vibrationally speaking, the only thing that will take you off kilter is when there's a trigger point in your romance house. Now, with the romance house, if you can actually look at it and say, look, if this person's not in alignment, it's not that I can't be with them. What can I do to anchor myself into a point where they can gain time to actually do that themselves? It really does help to get that mastered, and it then takes the pressure off the romance house for that to flow. But I do feel a lot of what you're going to be doing is very spiritual and internal, and it's going to transmute, so you're applying it to your life, and you're going to be leading by example, so to speak. People are going to be very motivated and empowered by watching you go through this transformation. Other people you feel are not using their intuition, and a lot of times it's almost like they leave the dribs and drabs for you to fix. Again, it's not, it can feel like it's a hindrance, but at the same time it's actually benefited you because it's helping you master a lot of areas in your life. And again, that's probably why I'm saying aspects of psychology. If you can actually detach from the situation and look at it from an outsider's point of view, you're actually going to learn a lot more about yourself as well, and about that other person. And this can be people in general, co-workers, family members. It's almost like your intuition's really high, but you're gaining clarity, and you may even be seeing your own energy in other people. For instance, if you reacted to certain situations in a particular way, you're actually going to see aspects of self and other people now, and you're going to have compassion and understanding, but you may at times actually feel quite sorry for them. And I know that's bad to say, but it's like, I'm feeling you see the reality of situations and go, wow, I didn't think you'd react that way. That's like lower frequency. Some people actually are being quite brash connected to you as well and very judgmental. But you're seeing where this is coming from, and you're just trying to step back and not involve yourself in the situation, because it's not a you problem, it's a them problem. Where it applies directly to you, yes, take a look at it. But for some of you, this is external situations. Some of you, a person who you're working with, if you are branching out, they may actually go with you. But I am seeing movement for accommodation for some of you as well. When it comes to a family dynamic, you might need to really rest, okay? Some of you children may be returning to school, some children, or separations, okay? So those of you who have recently had a separation and you're co-parenting, again, because the nodes are in Cancer, with it being at a 9, it can be that you're meditating upon something that didn't quite reach its potential. Also, don't feel that if you're wanting this situation to balance out that it can't. It can. It is connected to divine timing. And it can even be conflict that you're dealing with family members. Anything that isn't balanced at home or with love interests and family, it is going to balance out. It's just about divine timing. And again, it is connected to astrology, and it is an aspect of what we're spiritually going through at the moment. Some of you feel as though, how do I put it? You're waiting for divine timing when it does come to movement. Now, some of you, and again, I'm feeling you've got major plans this year, and I do feel there's massive changes for you guys. Now, in the bigger picture, especially connected to travel, travel doesn't have to just be, hey, I'm going on a holiday. The travel could be the destination, the end destination you're wishing to reach at a point in time. Many of you feel it is connected to abundance. So some of you might be traveling for employment. Others of you are waiting for that finance to balance out so you can do that. But you're also having the bigger plan in mind, as to what you want to achieve this year, moving into the following year. So it's like I see you taking a temporary holiday, but it's more internally, okay? So it's more on a mental note. You're meditating upon things to say, okay, where to from here? How do I get my control back? How do I get the movement back in my life? What am I going to do to achieve these goals? And I do feel money is changing. The connections are changing for partners, because I do feel you have a person in mind. And if you're getting frustrated and it's not flowing, shift the energy back onto yourself, which is going to help balance it out till the transit changes. In a left or right state, again, January, this was coming up, and again, this is base chakra, okay? Now you've got base chakra in reverse. So some of you feel your foundation is not stable, and you're really focusing in on that. And again, I'll state it again, nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. What you need to do to achieve it, reflecting back on what you did previously and what now you can do with the power you physically have. What you financially need to do, what you emotionally need to do, the trigger points you need to work through. I feel much of this will be moving upon by March. Again, although this is a February read, this is the transit of what's coming through. So it's going to help you understand what you need to do to actually balance it out. You can use meditation. You can use the red food groups. Again, movement is going to help, as well as fluids. But again, try and do breathing exercises connected to your base chakra with breathing, and really bring it up and bring it out, so to speak. You're wanting to rewrite. Try not to get into that mindset of, look, this is the way it's always been. Okay. Try not to get to the point where it's, you're thinking to yourself, this is just always the way it's going to be. It's not. There is no way everything can stay the same forever. So even when we get into that pain body experience and it's like we have that self-talk crap, it's always going to be this way. It's not. This is triggering you by taking your power back and getting your base chakra aligned and actually looking at the areas you can control. You won't look outside of yourself for that factor. So it might, again, some of you are juggling family, so that has been a problem. It's been time, it's been your finances, you know, it's been a lot of things. So don't be hard on yourself. But at the same time, if you know where it's coming from and there is something you can do, try and do that. And then it's taking your power back, so to speak. If there is an area you can physically do that, do such. If you are feeling triggered and you need support or guidance, book a reading and I can give you a hand. Now, in your Venus house, although I've done the romance read separate, again, I will come to your life connected to the twin flame path, soulmate path, and any astrology transits I'm feeling spiritually if we're going through transformations. Some of you are feeling that people aren't seeing your light. Some of you aren't feeling passionate, connected to a path. Some of you feel your life is on hold and you're in the hangman position. You're so frustrated by it, but again, I'm seeing base chakra as the issue, the foundation. So this can be on your side of the fence or the other person's side of the fence or externally. It's like rocky foundations and just, you know, I just can't do this. How can I shine within connections? How can I have the privacy, the spiritual abundance if everything around me looks so very chaotic and toxic? It is an energy that you're feeling because you're overwhelmed and some burdens have been handed to you and you're lacking inspiration connected to this. So for some of you, you might be saying, hey, I've reached the T section in the point in this road, and this can be connected to many areas in your life. What am I going to do to get myself out of this? Because it no longer connects with me. If it is connecting with you and you're wishing to build upon it, again, it's the foundation that's coming up loud and clear. Don't worry about what other people say. You know, perhaps they didn't use their intuition and it's got them into a situation or you into a situation in a judgment sense. Really kind of detach from people's opinions and anchor into yourself to a point you understand what you want. Does that make sense? Now, if I do have time, I will do a mid-month again live, and that will be for each zodiac sign. I'll come to you guys live and I will have a chat and answer any of your questions. Are there any questions while we're here? And again, I will do the astrology separately because there are a lot of changes next month, but I need to look at it and focus on it quite heavily. I have had a very, very busy time with the school holidays, so thank goodness she's going back to school next week and then things should get back to normal. Any questions? Yeah, I know. We all want the changes. Yeah, definitely. You know, especially when you've got your own insight into how things could happen. For you personally, I feel career-wise it will be a great benefit at the moment. Are you working at the moment, Tal? Fraser? The writing's so small, forgive me. One, two, three. The fourth person up that wrote about them sitting on the sideline, I feel there's a promotion coming. Any questions? The next one I will be doing, pick your poison, Aquarius, Libra or Gemini. Yeah, the older we get, you tend to find that. But again, especially in a twin flame path, you'll actually find sometimes when you're listening to it, it will cross. So your twins reading will resonate more with you and your reading will resonate more with them. And it's when we're crossing over and merging. So it can kind of swap. But again, the energies that you pick up, it can go either side. Never take a reading personal. Sometimes it can be the energies of people around you or your love interest. So just connect the dots of where it fits. Otherwise, book a personal reading. Would we like Libra, Aquarius or Gemini next? Yeah. Yes, I do. Look, for everyone, it is going to balance out, especially for those of us, how do I put it? Those of us who have done the spiritual work. As long as we're focused on ourselves and the growth, a lot of us, it's like 2017 was the emergency ward. Now we're in the recovery ward, you know, in the foundations and building it and achieving it. But yes, we do have more transits and retrograde. But if we can understand with our spiritual growth and transformation, and a lot of where the planets are, they're really shifting and changing quite often. What you'll find is if you can dance and move with that, you'll cope just fine. And especially with the transit of Uranus and Taurus, you know, Taurus wants everything to be settled, calm, you know, connected, romantically speaking, spiritually speaking, emotionally, you know, with that base, the foundation. The planet doesn't really care about that. It's like, no, against what your belief system is. We're going to push you to grow beyond that point. So for us all collectively, it will cause trick points because we're going to have to get used to being flexible, changing with the tides. And if we can do that, we've mastered ourselves. So we're just going to have to be really patient. Look, whenever you're placing yourself first, Stel, 100%, you know, in anything in your life, I do feel great success around you. And I feel you have some ideas in mind that are really going to benefit you. So really jump on those ideas. I do see, for some reason, though, children very connected to you as well. That can be even in a career, but I do see children like spiritually connected to you. Yeah, it's almost like we really need to find the home inside, and then wherever we are, it doesn't matter. As long as we can hone in on that and anchor that inside, it will keep our compass kind of correct. And when you're getting triggered, sort of, especially when you're in your third eye, stop and go, okay, what do I feel? And then just internally anchor yourself in and go, come home, just come home. Because when we're scared, we get up in the mind, because we're like, oh my God, questioning, what do people think? What should I do? Is this correct? Is it wrong? And then it's like, no, come back to self. What do you want? Okay. Anyway, I will cut it there. If you are needing a booking, feel free to go to the link below. When you get to the main page, if you scroll down, it sort of has the landing page and it doesn't quite, you know, if you scroll down, the booking page is just directly below on the first page. Also, if you do wish to make a donation, the link will be directly below, and I will see you during the month.